Jai Hind students, welcome to my YouTube channel. Students, success consists of going from failure to failure without loss of enthusiasm. Yes, one should never have the miserable luxury of anxiety and despair. Problems are actually essential for human growth. In turmoil and crisis, there lies an opportunity to show the real character. With that positive note, students, let's begin today's session. Today we are going to discuss a very interesting topic of electric motor. It's basically an electric device which is used in electric cars, rolling mills, electric cranes, as well as electric lifts. It is also used in drilling machines, electric fans, hair dryers, record players, tape recorder and blowers. It is actually also used in centrifugal machines like mixers, blenders, refrigerators and washing machines. So what is an electric motor? Let's start with the intro then. Students, electric motor basically is a device which converts electrical energy into mechanical energy. We are already aware of the transformation of energy from one form into another. So electric motor is a device or an agent that converts electrical energy into mechanical energy. And it is based on the principle that when a current carrying conductor is placed under the influence of magnetic field, then it experiences a force. Before we discuss about its construction working, I would like you to watch this short clipping which is based on the construction and the working of a DC motor. Let us take one of a permanent magnet and drill a hole in the center and put it on something that will allow it to spin. Now bring another magnet towards it. Our spinning magnet will immediately line up until opposite poles are right next to each other. Now switch out the side magnet. The same poles ripple and opposite poles obviously attract each other. If we keep switching out these side magnets, then our spinning magnet will just keep spinning. This concept of the spinning magnet is really very important, which will be used in motor. We'll come back to it in a moment. Here's a metal bolt or a nut which is not a magnet. It's made up of magnetic domains which are randomly oriented, but they are pointing in random directions. Now let's take a wire, wrap it around several times and then let's create a circuit. The current through the wires forces the magnetic domains to align themselves in a particular direction so that it gets magnetized. Now the bolt has become a magnet, or more specifically an electromagnet. It can do the same things that a permanent magnet can. It can pick up pieces of metal and it has a north and a south pole, which will attract or repel other magnets. But the electromagnet is special in the sense that it can be turned on or off, just like the light bulb. You can't do that with a permanent magnet. But in case of electromagnet, when the current is flowing through it, then it will become magnetized. And when the current is stopped, then it will get demagnetized. And if the terminals of the battery are reversed, then obviously the current will flow in the opposite direction. So the polarity of the magnet will also get reversed. So now north will become south and south will become north. This is called reversing the polarity of an electromagnet. So instead of flipping the battery, an easier way to do this is to just switch the wires. You should be aware that the electromagnet will get very hot if it's on for a while. Just a caution in case this video inspires any science projects. Let's come back to our spinning magnet then. This time we will replace the spinning magnet with the electromagnet. Now as soon as we connect the wires, then what happens is the magnet turns on, and in reality connecting these wires would prevent the bolt from spinning freely, obviously. But what's important here is the concept of the spinning electromagnet. Now let's switch the wires to reverse the poles. Now as the poles are reversed on the electromagnet, the same poles repel and opposite poles attract. We are aware of it. So now reverse the polarity again. So now again the same poles repel and opposite poles attract. Now as it's pretty clear from this video that if you keep switching the polarity, our electromagnet will just keep spinning. To make this strong, what we can do is we can bring in another permanent magnet on this side. Notice how this idea has the south pole towards the center and this side has the north pole towards the center. The side magnets work together to spin the one in the middle. So this right here shows the very basics of an electric motor. But we need to make a few improvements and adjustments. The two side magnets can be replaced with stronger curved poles of a permanent magnet. And instead of a bolt with wires, we are gonna use a metal loop which can be termed as an armature. It generally consists of a soft iron core as well. And connect our wires and we have a circuit again. This time you can think of the electromagnet as flat like this with the south pole pointing up and the north pole pointing down. Actually we are aware a current carrying coil behaves as a magnetic dipole. One face will act as the south pole while the other face will act as the north pole. So we can keep the spinning by the same concept by switching the wires just like we did in the earlier case. But this is a lot of work to sit here, isn't it? And manually switch these wires. So we need to add something to the armature, and this is called a commutator or a split rings. These are the two split rings, the equal halves of a slip ring. The commutator will spin along with the armature. Now we connect the circuit with two brushes on the side. These brushes will slide along as the commutator spins. It actually provides a movable contact. They always maintain contact so that they always remain in contact with the commutator or the split rings. The current flows through the brushes, the commutator ring and the armature loop and back through the other side. Now we have our electromagnet and the armature spins. As we come around this time, the brushes will switch contact to the other side of the commutator ring. And remember, there's two brushes. So this is happening on both the sides. Before the switch, the current in the armature is flowing this way as shown by the green arrows. After the brushes switch sides, what happens is the current tends to flow the other way. That is, the direction of the current through the armature get reversed. This means the electromagnet switches polarity, which will cause the armature to keep spinning as we have discussed earlier. This commutator ring does the same thing as switching the wires like we were doing before. But this time it does it all on its own. The working of DC motor can also be explained by the consideration of the force experienced by a current carrying conductor under the influence of perpendicular magnetic field. Here, the two arms of the armature experiences equal and opposite forces so as to constitute a couple, which makes the armature to rotate about its axis in a particular direction. Now students, let us recap the things which we have watched in the video, right? So let's start from the very beginning. As I have told you, electric motor is a device which converts electrical energy into mechanical energy. So basically it transforms one form of energy into another form of energy. Now principle. The working of electric motor is based on the principle that a current carrying conductor, when placed under the influence of perpendicular magnetic field, then it experiences a force, and the direction of this force is given by Fleming's left hand rule. The direction of the force experienced by a current carrying conductor under the influence of perpendicular magnetic field is given by Fleming's left hand rule, which we have already discussed in the previous sessions. Now let's discuss about its construction, students. It basically consists of four important components. First is the armature. It is basically a rectangular coil over which number of turns of conducting wire like copper wire is wound. Suppose this is A, B, C and D. A, B, C, D. This is an armature. It's a rectangular coil over which number of turns of copper wire is wound. It also consists of a soft iron core. And students, this is the dotted line. This is the axis of the armature. It is the axis of the armature. And the armature rotates about its axis, which is perpendicular to the direction of the magnetic field. Right? So, armature is ABCD. It is a rectangular coil. It is a rectangular coil which consists of a number of turns of copper wire. Consisting of number of turns of copper wire. And it also contains a soft iron core. So that's armature, and it rotates about an axis which is perpendicular to the direction of the magnetic field. Second is, students, field magnet. It is basically the source of a strong magnetic field. Now these are the two concave poles of a strong permanent magnet, and it acts as a source of magnetic field. It acts as a source of strong magnetic field. And as I have told you, the axis of the armature, rather the armature rotates about an axis perpendicular to the direction of the magnetic field. Magnetic field, as you are aware, it's directed from north to south, isn't it? So as it's been indicated. And this is 90 degree. The axis of the armature, it is inclined at an angle of 90 degree with the direction of the magnetic field, which is from left to right, that is from north pole to south pole. The third component, students, it is the split ring. It is the split ring, or it is also known as commutator. It is also known as commutator. These are the two split rings I am talking about. Suppose this is R1 and this is R2. These are actually the two equal halves of a slip ring. Right? Again I repeat, these are the two equal halves of a slip ring. So, two equal halves of a slip ring are known as split rings. It is also known as commutator. So basically it consists of two halves. R1 and R2 are the two halves of a metallic ring. And the two ends of the armature, these are the two ends of the armature, are connected to these two halves of the ring. And the main function of the split ring or commutator is that it reverses the direction of the current in the armature coil. So it reverses the direction of the current in the armature coil. So this is very, very important. The split rings, right? And these twins. The fourth important component is the brushes. Two carbon brushes, B1 and B2. These are the two carbon brushes I'm talking about. B1 and this is B2. These are the two carbon brushes which I'm talking about. These brushes keep themselves pressed against the rotating rings, right? And these brushes act as the contacts between the commutator and the terminals of the battery. So these are the carbon brushes which keep themselves pressed against the commutator or the split rings. And these brushes B1 and B2, they act as the contacts between the split rings, which is also known as the commutator, and the terminals of the battery, the negative and the positive terminals of the battery, and the terminals of the source of the battery. Right? This is the source or the battery. And obviously this battery is connected across the carbon brushes. This battery supplies the current to the armature coil. Current always flows from the positive terminal to the negative terminal, isn't it? This is how the circuit gets completed. It flows from positive terminal like this and it enters the negative terminal through the ring via the brushes like this. So these are the four important components of an electric motor. Okay students, now after dealing with the construction of electric motor, let us discuss the working of an electric motor. Let us concentrate on this particular diagram, right? These are the two terminals of a battery. This is the negative terminal and this is the positive terminal. And as I have stated, these two terminals of the battery are connected to the carbon brushes. These carbon brushes, suppose they are denoted by B1 and B2. And these are the two rings. Suppose this ring is R1 and this ring is R2. These two rings are connected to the armature, right? And this is the armature. It's a rectangular frame over which number of turns of copper wire is wound. Suppose it is A, B, C and D. Suppose in this orientation of the armature, the current will flow along this direction. It always flows from higher potential to lower potential. That is from the positive terminal, from V2 to the split ring, and in the armature it will be from D to C and then from B to A. Like this. This is how the circuit gets completed. Right? So in this orientation of the armature, when this external DC source is applied across the two brushes, then the current will flow along this direction. This is how the circuit gets completed. Now students, let us consider the arm AB of the armature. Right? In this case, the current is flowing from B to A. And the magnetic field is obviously from north to south. This is the direction of the magnetic field. and this is the direction of the current. This is the direction of the current, and both are perpendicular to each other. Now this arm BA of the armature, it is carrying current I from B to A, and it is under the influence of perpendicular magnetic field. So obviously it will experience magnetic force, the direction of which is given by Fleming's left hand rule. So let's apply Fleming's left hand rule over here. This is my left hand. This is the thumb. It indicates the magnetic force. This is B. This is the forefinger or the first finger, which represents the direction of the magnetic field. And this is the central finger, which represents I, that is the current. Now consider the arm BA. The current is from B to A. This finger represents B to A. This finger, students, it represents magnetic field, that is from North Pole to South Pole, isn't it? So this thumb, it's in the upward direction. It is in the upward direction. So this indicates the direction of the magnetic force experienced by the arm BA of the armature. So this is the direction in which it will experience force, in the vertically upward direction. This is the magnetic force. All are perpendicular to each other. They all are mutually perpendicular to each other, right? Now if we consider the arm DC, in this case the current is flowing from D to C, and magnetic field is from left to right, that is from north to south. So at this point, this will be the direction of the current from D to C, and the direction of the magnetic field is from north to south, represented by this arrow, right? So at this point, the direction of the magnetic force would be given by students. It will be like this. This is how it will be given. This is the central finger, represents the direction of the current, that is from D to C, isn't it? This is the magnetic field. Magnetic field is from left to right. So in this case, the thumb, it's pointing in the inward direction, like this. This is the central finger, representing the direction of the current from D to C. This is the direction of the magnetic field. This is the first finger or the forefinger. So magnetic field is from north to south, that is from left to right. So thumb, it's pointing in the downward direction, isn't it, students? So here the arm DC will experience a magnetic force in the downward direction. So represented by F over here. This is the force. Now look, students, these are the two arms, and in these two arms, these are the forces acting on it. These two forces are equal in magnitude, but they are oppositely directed. One is directed in the upward direction, and the arm CD will experience a force in the downward direction. So what happens is, it experiences a couple. As a result of these two forces, it will make the armature of the coil to move about its axis in the clockwise direction, like this. So the armature, under the influence of these two equal and opposite forces and having different lines of action, will constitute a couple, right? Couple constitutes two equal and opposite forces. And due to the action of these two forces, this armature will tend to rotate about its axis in the clockwise direction. Students, let me explain the figure 1 once again, right? In this case, the current is made to pass from DCBA in this particular direction, right? So these two arms, AB and CD of the armature, will experience two equal and opposite forces and will constitute a couple. So let me elaborate this once again. This is, suppose, the armature, students. This is A, B, C, D. This is the same armature we are talking about, A, B, C and D, right? Current is flowing from D to C, C to B, B to A, right, along this direction. So magnetic field is directed from left to right. So if we apply Fleming's left hand rule in this arm of the armature, BA arm of the armature, then the magnetic force is found to be acting in the upward direction, right? It is found to be acting in the upward direction. While in this arm, students, in the arm CD, the magnetic force is found to be acting in the downward direction. So in this arm, the force is acting in the upward direction, while in this arm, the force is acting in the downward direction. And this arm, CB, in this case, the current is flowing parallel to the direction of the magnetic field. So this arm won't experience any magnetic force. So these are the two arms which experiences equal and opposite forces. So what happens is, the effect of these two equal and opposite forces is that it will constitute a couple. So what happens is, the armature, it will tend to rotate like this. It will tend to rotate in this particular manner. It will tend to rotate in this particular manner, right? So once it completes half the revolution under the influence of these two equal and opposite forces, then we will be having the diagram as shown in figure B. Now we'll try to explain this particular figure. Once half rotation is completed, then what happens is, these two arms will interchange their position like this. So now this will become A, this arm will become B, this will become C, and this will become D. So now what happens is, current will flow along this direction. It will be always from higher potential to lower potential like this. And this is the carbon brush which is considered to be B1. This is another carbon brush which is considered to be B2. Now students, look, AB arm, it is connected to the ring R1, isn't it? Now AB is over here. This ring will be R1. So after half the rotation, the rings will tend to interchange their positions. In figure A, R1 ring is in contact with B1, while the split ring R2 is in contact with B2. But after half the rotation, what happens is, R2 ring comes in contact with B1, while the split ring R1 comes in contact with B2. So as a result of which, what happens is, the direction of the flow of current in the armature gets changed. Earlier it was from DCBA. Now the current is flowing from ABCD. So that's the role of this split rings. It is also known as a commutator. And as I've told you earlier also, the basic use of this commutator is that it reverses the direction of the current flowing through the armature. Here in case A, the current is flowing in the direction DCBA, isn't it? Now the current through the armature is flowing in the direction ABCD. Clear? So the direction of the current get reversed. Now again, let's consider the arm CD. In this case, the current is flowing along this direction. C to D, this is the current, and this is the direction of the magnetic field, that is from north to south. Again, applying Fleming's left-hand rule, we find that the arm CD will experience a magnetic force in the upward direction. This is the direction of the current, C to D. This is the direction of the magnetic field, that is from left to right. So thumb is pointing in the upward direction. So it will experience a force in the upward direction. All are mutually perpendicular, right? On the other hand, students, here on the arm AB, the current is flowing from A to B. Magnetic field is from north to south. So here in this case, it will be like this. This is the direction of the current from A to B, isn't it? This is the direction of the magnetic field from left to right. So thumb is pointing in the downward direction. That represents the direction of the magnetic force. So this is the direction of the magnetic force. So again, these two forces are equal in magnitude, opposite directed, and have different lines of action. So these two forces will constitute a couple, and accordingly, it will make the armature to continuously rotate in the clockwise direction. So as a result, what happens is a continuous rotational motion is obtained. Clear? So this is how the electrical energy is converted into mechanical energy. So again, I repeat, students, in this case, these two forces are equal and opposite forces acting at different position of the armature on the arm AB and CD. These two forces constitute a couple. This couple rotates the coil in the clockwise direction until the coil is in the vertical position. As it comes in the vertical position like this, this is the case. So as it comes in the vertical position, then what happens is At this position, the contacts of the commutator and the brushes break. The contact between the commutator and the brushes break. So the supply of the current to the coil is cut off. Hence, no force acts on the arms of the coil. But students, remember, the coil does not come to rest at the vertical position. You are aware of inertia of motion. Due to inertia of motion, what happens is it overshoots this vertical position, right? So the coil does not come to rest at the vertical position. It goes on rotating due to the inertia of motion of the coil until the commutator again comes in contact with the brushes B1 and B2, and that will be diagram B, right? So this is diagram 1 and this is the vertical position, and then we'll arrive at this particular diagram. Clear, students? So what happens is when the commutator comes in contact with brushes again B1 and B2 after rotation, the direction of the current in the arms AB and CD is reversed as shown in figure B. So now the force acting on the arm AB is in the downward direction. Earlier on the arm AB, the force was acting in the upward direction. Now the force acting on the arm AB is in the downward direction, and on the arm CD is in the upward direction. So again, these two forces, which are equal and opposite, they will constitute a couple. This couple again rotates the coil again in the clockwise direction, isn't it? So as a result, what happens is a continuous rotational motion is obtained like this. The armature will keep on rotating about its axis in the clockwise direction. So thus the coil of DC motor constitutes, or rather it continues to rotate in the same direction. And this is how the electrical energy gets converted into mechanical energy, that is the kinetic energy of rotation. So this is how the working of an electric motor can be easily explained. So students, let us summarize the working then. First is two equal and opposite forces acting on the arm AB and CD of the armature constitutes a couple, as a result of which the couple rotates the armature in the clockwise direction, right, until the coil is in the vertical position. At this position of the armature, the current is cut off, because in that case the contact between B1 and R1 would not be there. So as a result, the circuit is cut off. So current would be zero. So the arms AB and CD will not experience any magnetic force. But due to the inertia of motion, what happens is the armature will keep on rotating and it will attain this particular position where again the rings will come in contact with B1 and B2. But obviously after half the rotation, the position of the rings will get interchanged. Now ring R1 will be in contact with B2 and R2 ring will be in contact with B1, right? So after rotation, the direction of the current in the arms AB and CD will get reversed. Earlier, in this case, the current was flowing from B to A. Here, after half the rotation, the current is flowing from A to B. So the role of the commutator or the split rings is to reverse the direction of the current through the armature. So as a result, the armature continues to rotate in the same direction. We have discussed these two arms will again experience force that will constitute couple, and it will make the armature to rotate about its axis in the same direction, in this case in the clockwise direction. So as a result, continuous rotational motion is obtained, and thereby the conversion of electrical energy into mechanical energy in the form of kinetic energy of the rotation is obtained. So this is how the electric motor works. I hope students you have understood this very important and interesting topic of electric motor, right? So do practice the diagram, and I hope you will study consistently. So that's it for this particular session, and do remain safe and be happy, and always have that positive approach towards your studies, right? So do join me in my next lecture. Till then, bye-bye, and do take very good care of yourself. Thank you.